All right, let's look at what happened on the first season of The Buccaneers. Based on the novel by Edith Wharton, our story begins with a wedding. We are introduced to 5 American ladies whose stories will be told. First, we have the bride herself, Conchita Conchi Clausen, Elizabeth Lizzie Elmsworth and her younger sister Mabel, and finally, Virginia Ginny St. George and her younger sister, our main protagonist, Annabelle Nan St. George. As they prepare for the ceremony, there is concern when the groom, Lord Richard Marrable, hasn't shown up, and we learn that Conchi is secretly pregnant but hasn't told him. When she loses her earring, Nan scales the building to retrieve it. After a quick meet-cute with Guy Thwart, Nan runs into Richard and convinces him to go through with the wedding. At the reception, newly wealthy Patricia St. George is struggling to get her girls invites to the social season in New York. Lord Richard steps in and invites them all to London for the season. Nan has some flirtatious moments with Guy, and he reveals his mother is deathly ill and he must return to England. Nan's governess, Miss Testvalley, confesses she knows Lord Richard, as England is a very small place. Months later, the girls arrive in London, greeted by a very pregnant Conchita. They meet Lord and Lady Brittlesea, spelled Brightlingsea but pronounced Brittlesea, and discover Conchita has been struggling to fit in, unhappy with her new life among the stuffy London elites. We see Guy mourning the loss of his mother, and find out his father has tasked him with marrying a rich American to secure the family legacy. The Brittlesea's younger son, Lord James Seaton, why the different last names, I'm not sure, is also told to choose one of the American girls for their money. As Ginny and Lizzie are of age, they are presented with the other debutantes to the Queen. They hold up paddles and are judged by the eligible men present. Nan rightly points out that they are being paraded around like cattle. Her tirade is overheard by Theo, the Duke of Tintagel, who is tired of all the attention his title gets him. Nan meets up with Guy, and they mock the proceedings, but she causes a stir when she accidentally drops her shoe in the cake below. Ginny is outraged and tells their mother Nan is ruining everything. When Nan follows her to apologize, Ginny laments that Nan always gets special treatment and lets slip that Nan isn't actually their mother's daughter. Before she even has time to process this, Nan is sent on a tour of the countryside with Miss Testvalley to get her out of the way. We see Theo talking to his mother, the Duchess of Tintagel, about how he wants to find someone who isn't interested in the power but loves him for him. Conchita has her baby, lamenting that Nan is not there as she promised to be. On her tour, Nan stops to swim at the beach and runs into Theo, who likes to paint on the beach. They flirt a bit, and Theo is immediately taken with her, especially because she has no idea who he is. A month later, Conchita is throwing a party at Runnymede, and Nan returns. Richard shows up, and the real party begins. Nan tries to tell Conchita about her mom, but Conchi is distracted trying to find the spark that she and Richard had back in New York. Ginny attempts to apologize to Nan and pleads with her not to tell anyone. Theo is entertaining Lady Jean Hopley, the woman his mother has picked out for him. Despite her fascinating story about seeing a hedgehog, Theo excuses himself to swim in the ocean. James is bouncing back and forth between Ginny and Lizzie, causing a rift between the girls, with Ginny being especially nasty. Guy Thwart shows up and finds Nan in the garden. They flirt for a while and he talks of missing his mom, and she reveals her illegitimacy to him. She talks about her fears of being ostracized, as she has seen it happen before. He says it's fine, but then abruptly leaves. The rest of the crew plays sardines, which is a form of hide-and-seek. While hiding, Richard and James's sister Honoria shares a moment with Mabel, obvious sparks flying between them. Honoria reveals that her brother is a monster, and apparently Mabel has no follow-up questions to that. Nan goes to Ginny and they make up. Ginny explaining she found out about Nan's mother from a letter in their father's desk, but she doesn't know the details. While everyone is distracted, James takes Lizzie into a room and commands she disrobe for him. She does, but after staring at her for a while, he leaves, telling her not to move. It is only hours later that a servant comes and tells her that James has gone to bed, leaving her humiliated. Conchita and Richard sneak off to a boat and she revels in the reconnection she feels with him. The next morning, however, she overhears Richard telling Miss Testvalley that Conchita will never fit in. She doesn't hear the end of it, though, where he says he loves her too much to let her go. Conchita tells Nan that she must start pretending to fit in. As they play croquet, James marches straight to Ginny and proposes. Everyone is delighted, except for Lizzie. After some serious tree brooding, Guy decides to return and propose to Nan anyway. Out in the gardens, Nan spots Theo through the hedges. They flirt some more. She still thinks he is some random artist. And just as Guy arrives, Theo gets down on one knee and proposes. Nan is still considering the proposal as they travel to attend the Duchess's private ball. Lizzie is absent, having gone back to New York without explanation. The Brittleseys comment on how Richard finally got Conchita to behave. Ginny and Lord Seaton arrive with the news that they have eloped. When Nan goes to see Ginny, James won't let her in. We see him showering Ginny with compliments. Total love bombing. Nan meets Theo's mom, the Duchess. She is straightforward and questions Nan, but seems to approve, even sending her jewelry to wear at the ball. Theo takes Nan to show her his painting greenhouse. They spend time together, talking, painting each other blue, and riding horses. When Nan's horse panics, it is Guy who manages to save her, and she finds out that Guy is Theo's oldest friend. Conchita is excited to have Ginny as her sister-in-law, but when they have tea with Lord and Lady Brittlesea, Ginny acts all prim and proper and immediately earns their approval. As Nan is preparing for the ball, Guy storms into the room and flops on the bed before realizing she is there. She asks if he will tell Theo she is illegitimate, but before he can give a straight answer, the maid walks in. Theo and Guy speak on the balcony, and it seems Guy is about to tell him, but as he watches Theo gush about Nan, he appears to change his mind and just advises him to know all there is to know about her. Before making her grand entrance, Mabel gives Nan a pep talk telling her it's okay to like the attention. Conchita asks Lord and Lady Brittlesea if she will ever be good enough, to which Lady Brittlesea says, "Your role is clear. Mother to a child that is healthy and daughter to a man who is wealthy." Crushed, Conchita runs off into the night. During a group dance, Nan and Guy end up together, and she asks why he left at Runnymede. He says he was scared. They are told Conchita is missing and go to look for her. Richard finds her and says he wants her to be herself, and they should travel back to New York to remember who they really are. While looking, Mabel and Honoria have a moment in the rain and end up kissing. Nan confronts Conchita about her behavior, calling her an attention-seeking mess. This is as much about this night as the fact that Conchita's been too preoccupied to listen about her mother. Guy finds Nan on the stairs and she says she's going home to tell her mother she can't be a duchess. Guy says he will keep her secret and wants to be friends, but she says he still left at Runnymede. At the end of the party, Nan and Theo go to the beach where she officially accepts his proposal, and he asks to come with her to New York. Later, Mabel reveals that Guy did come back at Runnymede, leaving Nan with a lot to think about. The girls arrive back in New York as Patty prepares an ostentatious party to celebrate their matches, finally earning the approval of New York high society. Lizzie joins the girls in getting ready for the party, but remains wary of James. Nan reveals to her mother that she knows the truth and is very harsh, saying, "I'm nobody to you. Girl, this woman raised you. A little respect is warranted, but she's young." She laments the constant lying throughout her life and decides to go and tell Theo the truth, Patty chasing after her. Back in England, Guy is having tea with the Duchess, who can tell he's in love. She urges him to declare his love, obviously not realizing the girl is Nan. Guy gets drunk and sends a telegram admitting his love for Nan. He regrets it immediately the next morning, but it's too late. He can't stop the message. When James bumps into Lizzie, he pretends not to know her. The mind games never stop with this a-hole. Later, Lizzie checks in with Ginny, who claims to be happy. Mabel and Lizzie's mother, Lavinia, says Mabel can't go back to England unless Lizzie does. Patty tells her husband, Colonel Tracy, that Nan knows. He finds Nan in his study going through letters. He tells her that her birth mother died, and he can't remember anything about her, not her appearance or even her name. Conchita and Richard revel in the freedom of New York. Miss Testvalley warns her that he can never be that way at home and claims no Englishman will ever choose freedom over power. Lavinia walks in on Mabel kissing a maid, but then pretends like it never happened. Theo finds the telegram and seeing Guy's name thinks it's for him. He reads it and freaks out. Nan tells Ginny what their father said, and Ginny actually sticks up for their mom. When Patty finally finds her, she and Nan have a deep heart-to-heart about what it means to be a mother and a woman, and they reconcile. Nan doesn't want her marriage based on a lie and decides to tell Theo the truth. She attempts to tell Theo, but he says he doesn't want to hear anything that might spoil how he feels for her and wants to get married ASAP. James tells Ginny the party is an insult to him and says her mother should apologize. Ginny dutifully confronts her mother, calling the party a gaudy display of bad taste. James then pretends she's out of line, but Nan steps in to defend their mother this time. Patty realizes that none of these lavish things matter, and taking a cue from Nan, announces she no longer cares what anyone else thinks. Lizzie decides to go back to England, allowing Mabel to go as well. Conchita asks Richard to move to New York where they can raise their daughter away from his family's influence. He is tempted, but plagued by duty, and goes to Miss Test Valley while she's in the bath. Strong indications here that this relationship from his past was not entirely appropriate. Finally, Patty confronts Tracy and says she's done. He claps back, saying she'd never survive on her own. As they retire, he says he lied to Nan about her mother. The group arrives back in England at Guy's house for bonfire night. Theo invited Jean, hoping to set her up with Guy, and Nan dislikes how Theo talks about her as though she were property. Ginny and Lizzie are in the kitchen baking when James interrupts and purposely makes Lizzie uncomfortable. Nan chops wood with Guy, and they talk about his mother. He mentions his parents being equals in their marriage and wanting to find that for himself. Conchita and Richard discuss their new arrangement of her living in the country away from his family. Guy finds Lizzie on the floor, lamenting her shame. He convinces her that the shame doesn't belong to her, and she can choose to let it go, giving Lizzie a new outlook. Honoria visits Jean, and they discuss how the American girls have changed what is expected of wives. They play a game in the hedge maze, racing to the center. James makes a plan with Ginny to signal him so they can sneak off together. Lizzie convinces Ginny not to signal him, then does so herself, illustrating to him that she's turning the tables. Lizzie then sneaks off with Ginny, and they spend the afternoon reminiscing and enjoying themselves. Mabel and Honoria also sneak off to a small cottage where they get intimate for the first time. Still in the maze, Nan talks with Guy through the hedge. She voices that she doesn't want him to marry Jean, and he mentions the telegram. When Nan says she never got it, he rushes to find her. Nan finds Conchita and fills her in. Conchi says that what she's feeling is jealousy and love for Guy, making Nan very conflicted. She finds Guy and asks what was in the telegram. He admits to being desperately in love with her. They kiss, but she flees, running straight into Theo. They play poker, and Theo constantly takes jabs at Guy's financial situation. Thinking Guy won the poker game, Theo reveals Guy's mission for finding a rich American wife. Nan reveals the true winning hand, but says she feels like she has nothing. At the fire, Mabel suddenly rejects Honoria, saying she is tired of pretending. Ginny apologizes to James for sneaking off, and he acts like he forgives her. But when Ginny attempts to go to bed, she finds she's been locked out. Nan tells Guy she doesn't even want to be his friend anymore. Guy admits to Theo that they lost the house, and this party was a kind of goodbye. Theo offers to help, but Guy says he can't keep taking from Theo, and he won't anymore. Theo goes and apologizes to Nan for his behavior, saying he's terrified of losing her. Guy watches as they kiss, and he extinguishes the bonfire. It's Christmas time, and the group gathers at Tintagel to celebrate. Guy arrives with Jean, and they seem to be getting along well. James is bathing Ginny, and wishes they could spend Christmas alone. This walking red flag literally tells her that with her friends, she's not as easy to love. While playing in the snow, Lizzie falls, and James carries her inside and makes a veiled threat, leaving Lizzie in tears. Ginny goes to her, and Lizzie finally tells her what happened at Runnymede. Ginny doesn't take it well and sides with James. Nan gets along well with the Duchess, and then talks with Guy about his true intentions. He's honest that he originally had a mission to marry a wealthy American, but swears it was immediately real with her. Mabel apologizes to Honoria and gifts her a music box with 2 women dancing. She mentions she has a plan to stay. Honoria goes to Conchita, who helps her with confidence. Conchi tells her that she and Richard could be happy if he would just let go of whatever is holding him back. Realizing what that is, Honoria speaks with Miss Test Valley and suggests it's time to move on and let Richard be happy and free. When Ginny confronts James, he predictably throws a temper tantrum. She chases him, asking how she can fix things. He says she must show him that he's more important than anyone else. Mabel and Miles decide they'd like a spouse that lets them be free, and he proposes, despite not being in love. Guy seems resigned to let Nan go, and even likes Jean. I mean, she did gift him a giant wheel of cheese. The next morning, the Duchess is waiting for Nan and tells her to pack her things. She has been made aware of her situation. Miss Test Valley says goodbye, confusing Conchita. But when Richard follows her and asks her to stay, she says it's time for them all to move on, saying, Conchita is another in a long line of people who will never understand us. Ugh, gross. Nan asks Guy if he told the Duchess, but he denies it. Nan then goes to Ginny, who admits she told James, who then told the Duchess. Nan says she will never forgive Ginny, who responds, Your shame is not my fault. Nan barges into lunch and declares that she is illegitimate, but that she refuses to feel shame. Theo stands and says he doesn't care. He says he chooses to love her and intends to marry her no matter what. It's New Year's Eve at the Brittleseys, and Nan and Theo are making their first appearance since her secret has been out. The whispering begins immediately and sends Nan into a spiral, feeling like a charity case. Theo attempts to help, but makes matters worse by asking why she isn't more grateful. The St. Georges arrive, and Ginny tells them everything that's been going on. Patty comments on Ginny deliberately hurting her sister and not acting like herself. Ginny leaves and seems to be having trouble breathing, making it fairly obvious that she is pregnant. Richard and Honoria talk about their childhood and how different he will be with little Minnie. He seems to be coming to terms with something. When his mother chastises him for hiding, he reveals his intimate relationship with Miss Testvalley and how he is starting to understand how inappropriate it was. His mom scoffs, saying she knew and paid her to leave last time. Later, Conchita consoles him and says she is his family now. Tracy wants to leave the party, but Patty says she is leaving him. With Nan being a duchess, she will have the power to finally free herself. Mabel tells Honoria she's only engaged so she can continue being herself. Honoria says she hates Mabel for making her feel like she could be loved. James embarrasses Lizzie again, and she tells Ginny after what she did to Nan, they deserve each other. Guy takes Nan to the roof and cheers her up, telling her not to let the whispers change who she is. Theo corners Guy about staying away from Nan. He reveals he read the telegram, and they start fighting. As the party counts down to the new year, the moment is ruined by Theo and Guy tumbling in, still fighting. Nan talks to them, and all is revealed. Theo makes Guy recite the telegram to her. In it, he declared his love and talked about Nan's secret. The revelation that Theo already knew her status sends Nan reeling once again. Guy finds her and says he meant every word. But he has asked Jean to marry him, and they both need to move on. Ginny attempts to run away, but loses her nerve and comes back to James. Guy and Theo make amends before saying goodbye. The day before her wedding, the Duchess gives Nan a tiara and talks of her new duties once she is Duchess, saying that changing her mind now would make Theo a laughingstock. Nan goes to her mother, who talks about the new freedom she will have because of Nan's new station, then asks if she's sure about the wedding. No pressure. Conchita receives a letter from her father. After a snide remark from his mother, Richard finally confronts her, declaring his intention to sever all ties. Conchita supports him, but then says her father has lost all their money. Richard isn't swayed and says they will be truly free. Ginny has a fainting spell, and Miles reveals to James that she is pregnant. Angry that she kept it a secret, James first accuses her of cheating, then beats her. Mabel and Miles talk of the future, and when he brings up kids, Mabel panics. She takes Lizzie to a secluded room and reveals the truth of her sexuality. In a truly touching moment, Lizzie completely accepts her sister for who she is. Mabel calls off the marriage and goes to Honoria, saying, "The world won't accept us, but if we can be brave, we can make our own world." Lord Brittlesea talks to his son Richard and says he only has months to live, meaning Richard is about to become Lord Brittlesea, changing his trajectory completely. That night, Guy shows up at Nan's window. He says he broke off his engagement and declares his love for her, asking her to run away with him. She accepts, and they make love. Much later, Ginny sneaks to Nan's room, tells her about the pregnancy, and shows her the bruises. She wants to escape, afraid she won't be able to protect her baby. Nan and Guy hurry to smuggle her away, but James catches them. When they return to Nan's room, the Duchess is waiting for them. The next morning, in typical abuser fashion, James thinks a gift will make up for his actions. The girls all march off toward the chapel, but their look of resolve hints that there is a bigger plan in place. As soon as James is inside, the girls set the plan in motion. Nan and Ginny run to meet a carriage that is waiting for them. Ginny begs Nan to come with them. Guy declares his love again and says he will take care of Ginny. Nan sends them off and returns to the chapel. the Duchess reveals to Patty that Nan will stay and marry Theo, becoming the Duchess of Tintagel, affording her the power to protect her sister and the baby. Nan and Theo are married. Outside the chapel, Tracy tells Patty that Nan's biological mother is there. And that's where we leave Season 1 of The Buccaneers. What are you most excited to see in the next season? And who do you think Nan's biological mother is? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Give a like and subscribe if you appreciate what I do. And I will see you in the next video.